welcome everyone to season 9, episode 34 of the Focus TV. Got Octavia Wyatt here, Cardo Dudley Jr., Raymond Lyons, Wilson Tarpe Jr. Before we get things going, just a reminder, head over to thefocustv.com, get the latest and stay up to date with everything we have going on from Mystics and a couple months. That'll be Wizards. Even going to next week where we'll be getting into Octavia's NFL segments as that's finally hitting that time of the year. Also, the 24/7 live feed that's available up on our channel, or you can see it directly on the site. It works either way. And again, the channel is available on Roku and Amazon Fire TV, along with the latest news and interviews, which are all available on thefocustv.com. But we will get started where we always do this time of year. Ray, what have the Mystics been up to?
They've been winning. The Mystics, they are on a 4-game winning streak. They beat the Dallas Wings last Friday. They'll face them again tomorrow evening. But yeah, man, they've been on one. You know, much has been made about the youth of this team, but they're rounding themselves out, man. They're kind of coming into their own and establishing an identity. You know, Shakira Austin, she's kind of put herself out in front as the de facto leader of this team, man. She's pretty much playing at an all WNBA level, especially during the win streak. You know, and it's it's great to see. We also seen Sonya start to kind of round out into herself, and Kiki's been consistent as well. But you know, it's been the others that have been contributing to their consistency. You know, because we always expected Sonya, Kiki, and Shakira to kind of lead the way, but you know, we've starting to see Georgia string together some good games. Cody McMahon, she's starting to mature. You know, at the beginning of the season, she was just going 100 miles an hour, you know, but she's starting to show some patience. And, you know, that has led to her, you know, even being in the closing lineup during this win streak. So yeah, man, it's just a young team finding their way, and they're kind of hitting their stride at the perfect time. You know, this is post All-Star game, so teams are starting to ramp up, and it's you know, and they're really going to get into the thick part of their schedule. They got a few heavy hitters coming up, and you know, we'll see how they fare with that. But yeah, like I said, man, last Friday a big win against Dallas, and their 2 wins pre All-Star break were against the Valkyries and the Aces. So yeah, we seen what type of damage those teams been doing this season. So yeah, man, it's, you know, it looks like they're turning the corner, you know, which is good. We expect them to be a playoff team if all goes well, and it looks like they're on the track to live up to that.
Yeah, that homestand continues this week, where they got Dallas again tomorrow, and then also, you know, they're at home on Friday and Sunday as well. And then we're going to see them off on the road for a little bit. But, you know, Cardell, you talked about a couple of those episodes outlook, just making sure they take care of the games they're supposed to win, because those other games, all playoff teams, man. It's straight battles, wars, tests. We're going to learn a lot about them in the second half as they try to close. So we'll see how that goes, but we'll move on. This is the last week of this. This is also that fun part of the year where extended take it or leave it and extended rapid fire. It's the last week of this as well, because again, NFL's back next week on our show, and again, just happy to get out this little portion of it, because there's some NBA stuff I just don't want to hear from anymore until the season starts. So hopefully they can find something to do and keep themselves all busy, but I'm sure that's not the case. Cardell, where you want to start today?
We definitely not touching that stuff. A lot more going on in the sports world, but we're gonna start with take it or leave it, man. Definitely wanted to get y'all viewpoint on this. In the wake of a new ruling that grants players from the high school class of 2022 a 5th year of collegiate eligibility, for people that may not understand what I'm saying, basically college players that just graduated in 2026 and were headed off with life in pros or headed off to get a job. Those players. There are a handful of 2026 NBA draftees who could return to college basketball. There are 5 players who were selected in the second round of the 26 NBA draft that are now eligible to return to the NCAA for a 5th season. Dylan Mitchell, drafted 40th by the Boston Celtics, and Tyler Nickel, drafted 47th by the Knicks, are both known to be exploring returning to college basketball. It's unknown if Richie Saunders, drafted 32nd by the Memphis Grizzlies and currently rehabbing a torn ACL, or Elijah Jones, drafted 54th by the Golden State Warriors, will pursue returning for another year in the NCAA. Braden Smith, drafted 38th by the Indiana Pacers, has ruled out returning to Purdue, where he set the NCAA career assist record. Smith remains hopeful of landing a standard contract with the Pacers. Indiana does have an open standard roster spot, but is working with just $2.2 million in wiggle room under their first apron hard cap. The NCAA has ruled that any player who signs an NBA contract, including a two-way deal, will not be cleared to play in college next season. NBA teams will continue to hold the draft rights for these players should they return for another season in the NCAA. The 5 players cited above are the only 5 draftees from the NCAA schools that have yet to sign an NBA contract. Octavia, multiple layers to this story. First of all, how do you feel about the ruling that these players can come back for a 5th year after graduating? Do you agree with anyone signing an NBA contract, two-way or standard, Exhibit 10 as well? If you sign an NBA contract, should they be allowed back in college? And well, what do you think about the NCAA basically putting their foot down, saying if you did do it, you would be ruled ineligible?
Yeah, for me, I'm all of it. It just seems like so much. I don't know what's going on. To me, it would have to be a very big reason why. I can kind of see injuries and that sort, but if it's just really the kind of reposition, I don't really think it's going to be a good look. Just because you're going to have so many people trying to do it, and you're going to have so many caveats. So I would be interested in the decision. Like, who did it? Whose idea was it to go on board and think about this? But yeah, it doesn't pique my interest. I would be interested in.
Right.
Yeah, this is foolishness. You know, once you sign an NBA contract or get anywhere near college is over for you. Once you've used up your eligibility, college is over for you. I don't even know why we're doing this 5th year thing. But yeah, I'm done with this.
Wilson.
Yeah, this is a joke. It's just a joke. They gotta let this go. Like, you had 4 years, you played in them. Move on. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah, for me, I feel like obviously I'm leaving it. I feel like the whole time this is what the NCAA wanted. I feel like they wanted things to be so much chaos that they can try to reel it back in, so to speak, and say, hey man, this is why these players shouldn't be getting paid at all. They should have never got paid the entire time. It's an amateur thing. We should keep it amateur and they shouldn't get compensated. Now, as a former college player, I obviously feel like players should be compensated without a doubt, but once your eligibility is done, once 4 years is done, it's done. Like, move on. It's greedy. It's hurting the high school kids who otherwise would be having chances to earn these scholarships. They can't. Some of them are being lost by the wayside. Like, you know, because it's a trickle down effect. If you're taking spots from the Division I, those players that would have been Division I gonna have to go Division II. The Division II players gonna have to go Division III. Division III gonna have to go JUCO or NAIA. The ones that would have been NAIA, JUCO normally will have to go prep. If they can't go prep, they done. You see what I'm saying? And the sad thing is, it's forcing college coaches' hands, so to speak, because it's forcing their hands, so to speak, because you're trying to win games. I get it. But if you keep running up against a team that's physically mature, that you can't like you could coach as well as you want, but it's just a certain element where physicality and physical maturity matters in the trenches. You know, little things, boxing out. You're not strong enough to box out players because you're just not mature enough. You haven't developed physically enough, and then you could lose games like that. Then it could cost you your job. So it's almost kind of like forcing college coaches' hands where we got to match fire with fire. You know what I mean? And that's the unfortunate thing. You know what I mean? Because it's like we can't keep getting to this wall. And look, like no disrespect, like look, Michigan, obviously the best team last year in college basketball. They were loaded, but they also had a few players that were old as hell, that were physically more mature and stuff like that, and that overwhelmed other teams that weren't as old. You know what I mean? So um, it's just chaos, man. Like I don't envy the coaches, man, because they got a hard job. And now that this conjunction, you know, came through, where fifth year, I mean, 2026 players can get a fifth year out the blue, literally last week. A lot of those players have been, some of these players have been coming back, and they already signed to the schools. So what if you got them on the schedule and now they, like somebody that just got drafted? Obviously, you're a good enough player to get drafted. You're a difference maker, and they come back and now, I don't know, they playing at North Carolina, and you're an ACC coach. You're like, now I got game plan for this. Like, you see what I'm saying? It's just it's not right. And then you might have used up all your NIL money and all that. You can't even go try to get somebody. You or let's look at it from the flip side. Let's keep it real. Man, you've been in summer practices and stuff. Some of these dudes ain't paying it out. They ain't looking right. But you gave me your word, like, hey, you got a spot here. We like what we see. We'll give you every opportunity to start or get minutes and blah, blah, blah. But they ain't had a good summer. All of a sudden now this guy's available. And you got NIL money. Do you know what I mean? It's like, do I keep my word with this kid and just take the L, or do I go get this kid as an insurance policy because this kid ain't been doing well? Because if I don't go get this player and then we end up losing because this kid it just don't click, then what? I might be out of a job. You know what I mean? Depending on your situation as a coach. So it's just a lot of layers to this situation that wasn't there before this hearing allowed it. It was finalized. It was done. Cool. Everybody in summer school. Kids coming home. Then I'll see you back in a few weeks, and we're gonna start ramping up for the season. Now this done through everything, and that's why you saw so many college coaches on social media like, "What we doing, man? Like, what's going on? What's really going on?" And then it's unfair because it's like, you know, obviously, if you're a low major program, you really ain't got shot at the top tier players. And then the other ones that's in the mix, they weren't that good to begin with because they didn't get drafted, they didn't get picked up. It's like, all right, man, you graduated, go on with life. You see what I'm saying? So it's just it's a very messy situation, man. And yeah, I don't see it getting any better, man. I just see it just, all right, I want to, just because y'all allow players to get paid, the hell with everything. And that's just honestly how I feel. All right, we're going to move on to the NFL side, take it or leave it. The Baltimore Ravens have secured their top receiver long-term, agreeing to a 4-year, $140 million extension with Zay Flowers that includes $108 million guaranteed. The Ravens confirmed the news shortly after the initial report by ESPN, announcing Flowers had signed a multi-year extension. The new contract replaces the 5th-year rookie option Baltimore exercised for Flowers back in April, which would have covered the 27th season. Flowers has established himself as Baltimore's primary receiving threat since the team selected him 22nd overall in the 2023 draft. He has topped the roster in both catches and receiving yards in each of his 3 professional seasons. Last year marked a career peak for the 25-year-old who hauled in 86 passes for 1,211 yards. He has reached the end zone 16 times as a Raven, including 2 rushing touchdowns off gadget packages. Baltimore leaned on Flowers more heavily than ever in 2025, moving away from a committee-style passing attack. He finished with 38 more receptions than tight end Mark Andrews, the team's next closest target, while since departed veteran DeAndre Hopkins was the only other wideout to surpass 20 catches. Ray, take it or leave it. Ravens resigning Zay Flowers.
I think you got to take it. They have no choice. They need to get Lamar Jackson a primary target. So yeah, this was the full-on conclusion.
All right, Wilson.
Yeah, it makes sense. Um, he was the most dynamic player they had over there. I'm interested to see what it looks like this year because it looks like it might have accidentally finally got that man some help. Shout out to the folks in the NFL draft watching Jacoby Lane's freaky pass catching self just fall to Baltimore because why have a 6'4" wide receiver that with go gadget arms to go get the football to pair with Zay. It's been a long time coming in Baltimore for them to actually get Lamar some coherent weapons. And shout out to them from a business standpoint. I thought that was great. You said this first year the deal is going to replace that 5th-year option, so that's just good business, man. It's literally just great business. And Zay's getting pretty much the going rate. He's not getting like top shelf. So yeah, I don't think anything's wrong with that at all. Shout out to Zay Flowers for earning that. Like he said, that's 16 touchdowns. That little dude is explosive as hell. So, hey man.
Octavian.
Yeah. Same. I would take it. I don't know what else to do. Like you said, he was their biggest outside of that market. And then they also like in the offseason, so that's somebody else they would have lost. I think Wilson made a point about the receiver that they need to pick up, but it doesn't seem too far out of the realm for Zay Flowers and whatever the type not to get him. But yeah, I mean, it's still gonna put pressure on his shoulders because he got paid. And they're needing him to produce last year when he produced even more. If the Ravens want to get where everybody they should get, but who knows? So I would take it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, you of course you have to take it. What's been one of the biggest issues with the Ravens? Lamar don't have a lot of weapons, man. I mean, um, especially as explosive as Flowers, man. You just don't let that go, man. I feel like Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league, and as a Broncos fan, I was so happy when Tyreek Hill left because that's just an explosive weapon you don't have to deal with, and you saw it was an adjustment for him. So yeah, it would have been a hell of an adjustment for Lamar to lose an explosive option like that. Plus, just the threat of him helps these other receivers and tight ends and running backs coming out the backfield in the open or whatever. They get opportunities, man. Sometimes it's just about that, man. But nah, man. If they try and get over the hump and try to get to the Super Bowl and win it, the more weapons for Lamar, the better. You know what I mean? So he can, because he's a weapon all in himself in one. You know what I mean? So now you got someone on the outside. Now he could really dictate the terms as a premier quarterback. So yeah, of course, man. And I'm glad they locked him up with some good money. So he won't really have to worry about leaving as he continue to progress and get better and better. So they just need the other receivers to kind of catch on quickly, and then they're back in business, man. As far as competing to try to come out the AFC, but yeah, I mean, I definitely like it. All right, so now we're gonna move on to rapid fire. We're gonna stay with the NFL side of things. Bijan Robinson and the Atlanta Falcons agreed to a 3-year extension worth up to $75 million, making the two-time Pro Bowl the highest paid running back in NFL history. Um, Robinson will receive $51 million guaranteed under the deal, bringing an end to his week-long hold-in at the training camp. The guarantee places Robinson second among running backs in NFL history for total guaranteed money, trailing only rookie Jeremiah Love, who signed a fully guaranteed 4-year, $53 million deal with the Arizona Cardinals. Robinson's $22.25 million average annual value surpasses Saquon Barkley of the Philadelphia Eagles at $20.6 million as the league's highest paid back, though that distinction could shift soon, with Jahmyr Gibbs also seeking a new extension with the Detroit Lions. Robinson had held in since the first day of Falcons training camp last Wednesday and is expected to rejoin the team Tuesday afternoon. The two-time Pro Bowl and 24 All-Pro is now under contract with Atlanta through 2030. Robinson, 24, led the NFL scrimmage yards last season with 2,298 and finished fourth in rushing yards with 1,478. His 93-yard rushing touchdown against the Los Angeles Rams was the longest in the league last season. Wilson, Thoughts?
I mean, it's one of those no-brainers. Who's- Dude is up there as one of the most dangerous players in the league from a skill position standpoint, right? I think it's no argument. Atlanta's weird because you got a couple aliens over there and you can't figure out how to function like some type of adults over there, which is nuts. You got this guy, which is putting up video game numbers. Kyle Pitts doesn't look normal. You still ain't figure out how to crack that code. But now he definitely deserves it. And shout out to all those running backs. The pass as of late, obviously Saquon and Christian, but those that came before, the Marshall Falks, all that before, like this is the type of bread they deserve because they're that dynamic. You know what I'm saying? So, like you brought up Jeremiah Love's rookie contract, he's the beneficiary of a line of very productive, well-rounded backs that were murdering people in the pass game and the run game, and he got to start his NFL career making more than like he got to start where they should have been at. Like even with Bijan, credit to him, he popped up at a great time because Christian and Saquon, they got hit by that running back BS, and then they fought through it where they both went, was it offensive player of the year back to back? They went, got their bread up, and then here comes Bijan. He hits the league at the same time, like, hey, I'm younger and I do the same stuff. They're old, pay me. So it's time to pay him. So yeah, you gotta pay him because the older ones are still dumb productive at what they do. So yeah, credit to Atlanta for 1 + 1 is 2, man. You can't afford to lose that. As bad as stuff was last year, you were able to lean on them. So just get it. Hey man, it makes sense.
And Daniel Tomlinson's another one that come to mind, just like what you were talking about. You know what I mean? Octavian.
Yeah, I agree. They get more points for the fact that who went first comes to him and Jahmyr Gibbs. So they already give themselves a slight discount, however much slight that's going to be with the fact of Jahmyr Gibbs. But like Wilson pointed out, Bijan Robinson has been playing crazy, and quietly Atlanta is putting together good weapons. They've signed a lot of their premier weapons now, including Bijan. They re-signed Drake London. They re-signed Kyle Pitts. The only Achilles heel that we're still looking at is that quarterback, which is the most important position that they're going to have to worry about. So Bijan got his money, which is great. But with Michael Penix and Tua Tagovailoa, and I think they just signed somebody else because I can't think of who it is right now off the top of my head, but I think they just signed somebody else because both of them have been injured at the beginning of training camp. But it's always good to get, the ones that you got to locked in, which is the likes of Bijan Robinson. There's no way that they would have been able to let him walk out the door. And like Wilson also said, kudos to the running backs that's come before him. I think it wasn't that many years ago where running backs were having meetings and talking about how they can get these teams to value them higher. I think it was a lot of Austin Eckler, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, and the others that are there. And like Wilson said, that these younger guys are now benefiting from it. So it's nice to see the running backs kind of get back into the mix, because if you don't have an elite running back, it's going to be really, really tough. So having that elite running back, especially in the South, knowing that the South and NFC is kind of shaping up a little bit weirder than we're normally used to. I think a lot of times we're just used to the Bucs just running away with it as they have the last couple of years. But last year Carolina got better, Atlanta got better in and out, and we also see what the New Orleans Saints are doing. So it's going to be an interesting year in the South as well.
Right.
Yeah, like Wilson said, it's a no-brainer. You got to lock that up when you got that type of talent on your team. But yeah, it's good to see these guys start to get the financial compensation that their talent warrants. But yeah, as far as Atlanta goes, it's the foregone conclusion. I don't even know why it was any dispute to begin with. You know, you got to pay this guy. Just I'll never understand why franchises put themselves in this position, and it's not going to do anything but potentially piss off a player that you need. So, glad he got that squared away, and yeah, man, just pay people what they worth. It ain't that hard.
Yeah, and then one point I love that Octavia brought up was it wasn't that long ago when the NFL was like really going out their way to try to devalue the running back position. I think it was another I think it was Steven Jackson when he was with the Rams and stuff, and he had a monster couple years, and then it was his time to get paid, and they were basically just saying, man, you're a one-trick pony, like because the wear and tear on running backs is not a worthy investment for us to sign you to the big deal. I remember that clear, and I'm like, huh? And it's like they were really trying to be like, hey, man, a life. And maybe this is when analytics started hitting football crazy and we didn't know it. And the metrics were saying, hey, about 5-6 years in, time to find a new one. And that's usually when running backs in the past are hitting their prime and they banging out 1,000, 1,500 yard seasons like clockwork because they done figured out the league. And now you want to get rid of them at that point because the metrics say so. I think that was kind of more with it. And the NFL was just using it as an excuse not to pay these guys. And it was like, it almost got to the point where was the running back dead? Was the running back position almost dead? It was just past, just can you catch out the backfield type of thing, man. So I'm happy to see them, get it back and really start to get their money that they've earned and deserve, man. Because let's be. I mean, I know the quarterback at they got the headlines all the time, but let's be real. I mean, if you look through the history in the NFL, the workhorse is the running back. And y'all know I'm a Broncos fan. We all know we had one of the greatest ones before he got injured, Terrell Davis, man. It was, and then it was like Mike Shanahan just, he was Landis, Gary, and it was like, even after TD got here, it was about 3-4 more running backs that was banging out 1,000, like workhorses, man. They keep the chains moving. They protect the quarterback. When you can't pass, they're the insurance policy. Ugly weather, it's snowing, you can't see nothing. It's a blizzard, it's rain. Hey, this gonna be one of them ugly games, baby. Let's just run the ball and then take little chances here and there down the field. That's what the running back is. So to devalue that is just silly to me, man. But as we all know, sportsmen, there's a lot of silly decision makers up top. So it is what it is. But obviously, Atlanta's proven not to be one of them so far because they signed them. They knew better. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure 29 other teams would have been lining up, or obviously they got a good running back situation, but majority of the other teams in the NFL have been lining up like, all right, let's see if we can make something happen with that. So I'm happy that it's getting back to that. All right, we're going to stick to the NFL side of things. The Chicago Bears rewarded right tackle Darnell Wright with a historic 4-year contract extension earlier today. NFL Network's Ian Rappaport stated that the extension is for $116 million and includes $93 million guaranteed, making Wright the highest paid right tackle in NFL history. Among offensive tackles, Wright's $29 million per year average trails only $30.1 million that Laremy Tunsil received annually as part of an extension he signed with the Washington Commanders in March. Quote, as we continue to build our team and develop our culture, we're excited that Darnell will remain a cornerstone of our franchise as we work toward creating sustained success, Bears GM Ryan Poles said in a statement. Darnell has consistently elevated his play and the performance of his teammates since joining our team, and we look forward to his continued growth and leadership for years to come. Wright was selected 10th in the 23 NFL draft out of Tennessee, becoming the first round pick of Poles. The 24-year-old started all 49 games he has played in and has missed only 2 games in 3 seasons. Despite playing through an elbow injury suffering in week 3, Wright earned second-team All-Pro honors and ranked 4th in pass block win rate with 95.2% last season. He also logged the 5th highest snap count on offense, 93.7%. Octavia, another no-brainer for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah. One thing that they have to do is protect Caleb Williams. And the one thing that I always love, I'll be the first person to say I don't watch that many Bears games. I think last year was probably the most Bears games I've ever watched recently. But it's always, and not to say that nobody knows him or anything like that, but I don't feel like he gets a lot of publicity like some of the other notable name offensive linemen do. But it's always good when you don't hear an offensive lineman's name. That means they're not making mistakes. That means they're not getting your man blown up. That means they're doing what they need to do and they just plugging along. And to do that, like it also said, it's only missed 2 games, even with an elbow injury. And he's still very young. I think they said he's 24. So he has a lot more as long as he can stay healthy and stay consistent in what he's doing. And they seem like they're trying to really build something in Chicago. I know a lot of people have Chicago high up on their list of playoff and contenders and all of those things. But they got to make sure they keep Caleb Williams upright. And he obviously is going to be a big part of that. So I also think it's a no-brainer, especially because there are some really good right tackles in the league that are, I don't know their contract situation right now off the top of my head, but I'm sure a lot of them are going to be looking for some more money as well. So get him while he's young, pay him what you know that he's worth, what he's going to be comfortable with, and you just keep him there. And try to keep that line intact as much as possible, because as we've seen over the years, it seems to have good offensive lines and good defensive lines, those trenches. It gets you places. Not to talk about my team, but we had a really, really good offensive line, and that's helped a lot in the last couple of years. So that's something that teams, a lot of people cheat off of each other. Obviously, the trenches is very, very much important. So let's go ahead and get this knocked out. So I think it was a win-win for them. And it just reset the market. So those other right tackles and offensive linemen come down the pike are just looking for the money as well. So I don't think it was a bad pickup or resign.
For sure. And them other offensive linemen coming down the pike, you better produce and be durable like him. Ray.
Yeah, man. Look at NFL teams being 3 for 3 today. But yeah, definitely a no-brainer for them. Like, we saw what kind of season they had last year. Looked like they're finally starting to turn a corner and have some success. Yeah, keep the people there that got you there. It's real simple. We always see franchises outsmart themselves. Yeah, the dude produced. He was available. Yeah, I don't see why you'd even entertain the idea of letting him get away. So glad to see teams making some good decisions with their personnel.
Yeah, it's definitely a first for this show where we all in agreement on a positive note with NFL news. But Wilson, what you think?
Man, let the record reflect August 4th, 2026. We had no complaints about 3 NFL transactions. I'll forget this by next week, but it's on wax. Yeah, it makes sense. He's also somebody who's got better every year. He's given up 16 career sacks, and that number's going down every year, which is what you want when you draft an offensive lineman. You want that number to go down as the career goes on. That's a number you never want to see go up. It was 7 his first year, 6 in the second, and 3 last year. And much like, you're talking about with the Ravens and Zay Flowers, there's not a rule. Like, you can actually extend people early. You don't have to wait till after the 5th year. Go figure. If you choose to be intelligent, you can pay them early, save you a little money on the back end. Since NFL deals are monopoly money anyways, you got to find a part of which part of the contract where the money's real before it's not real anymore. But also with as much, and I'm saying this not to knock Caleb Williams, just being realistic and being transparent. As much as that young man does not play on time, you better pay somebody like Darnell Wright, because he'll be back there running around like a chicken with his head cut off 70% of the time. And this dude only gave up 3 sacks. I know their offensive line, like, it has to be crazy, because you got to be shocked when it's a 3-step drop and that ball come out. It's a 5-step drop and that ball come out. Because it's always an adventure, and people get excited about these spectacular plays. You know who doesn't think it's spectacular? The 5 dudes in front of the quarterback trying to keep the other 6 dudes off his ass while he's pirouetting and spinning and juking and doing all this fantastical stuff that we get to see clips on Twitter or X. Pay that man. Also, he got through last year playing through a torn UCL. in the trenches. For me, underpaid. But yeah, the NFL's the NFL. We all agree. I'm not going to rain on anybody's parade today. Shout out to the Bears for doing the things that make sense. Hopefully that the left tackle they got on the other side will also be worth it. But bless his heart, because I know it is an adventure. Every time the young man snapped the ball, he's never going to end up in the place that he started at. Rarely does it happen. And dog, that's impressive as hell to me that you only gave up 3 sacks. That boy be back there for like 10 seconds. Shout out to Darnell Wright, man. Well deserved.
Caleb Wilson better get the Rolexes ready, baby. Say save his career, bro. You gotta keep your offensive lineman happy, man. Pay for dinner or something. All right, man. We're gonna move on to the NBA. This is definitely a news story that broke, I believe, yesterday. A new medical study has found a correlation between increased minutes played in the games preceding an Achilles tear and the likelihood of that injury, though the NBA disputes the connection based on its own internal research. The study, published last month in the Orthopedic Journal of Sports Medicine by researchers affiliated with the University of California, San Francisco, examined 19 Achilles tears over an 11-season period. The research was prompted by a dramatic spike in Achilles injuries 2 years ago when 7 NBA players tore their Achilles tendons, including Jason Tatum, Damian Lillard, and Tyrese Halliburton, all during the playoffs. Only one player, Dante DiVincenzo, suffered the same injury last season. Researchers examined whether factors such as player age, position, role, schedule density, or early basketball specialization contributed to Achilles injuries, but found no meaningful association with those variables. They did, however, identify a pattern related to workload spikes shortly before the injury. Quote, significant workload spikes were found in the 10 to 15 games preceding Achilles ruptures for NBA players, the study concluded. Veteran players carried heavier cumulative workloads, whereas younger players ruptured tendons under lighter use. The NBA pushed back on that conclusion in a statement to The Athletic from Dr. John DeFiore, the lead director of sports medicine. Quote, over the past year, we have worked to better understand Achilles tendons injuries through a tendon health working group and additional research. While we welcome continued learnings, we believe the recent paper on this topic has important methodological limitations. Our own extensive review of the league data to date, conducted an independent and consultants, spanned the 2012-13 season to the present and found no relationship between Achilles tendon injuries and minutes played before injury. We remain committed to advancing research that informs player health, performance, and injury prevention, end quote. The league launched its own research initiative into Achilles injuries last season following an unusual cluster of cases, having never previously seen more than 4 such injuries in a single season before 24-25. Adam Silver addressed the league's findings last summer, noting that most Achilles injuries over the past decade occurred before the All-Star break. Quote, when we look back at the last 10 years, the majority of Achilles injuries have happened before the All-Star break, so it's not clear it's the number of games. As you know, modern NBA players, even when they're not playing games sometimes in the summer, they're working harder than they are during the season when they're playing 3 games a week. I know it was a lot. Just want to get everything out there, all the information. But Ray, what are your thoughts on it with the new study and the NBA's own, internal investigation on the situation?
It's confusing how this just came up out of nowhere. Look at what changed between when it wasn't a thing to when it is a thing. I think they're trying to avoid saying that these players aren't preparing their bodies for intense competition anymore. That's the only explanation I can come up with, because if guys were able to play in Converse Chuck Taylors on much harsher floors without all this medical advancement, and we didn't see a rash of Achilles injuries, 2 + 2 is 4 sometimes, man. Like, start getting serious about, how these guys are preparing for the season and how they're preparing during the season. Start practicing for real again. Like, you can't just walk through practice all week and then ramp up to go 1,000 miles an hour on game day. That's not how it works, man. Something's going to snap, and that's what we're seeing. So I don't know why they're I don't know why they're just not being logical about this. All these studies and whatever, it's not that complicated, man. Like, and we have the privilege of being able to see what goes on in practices and so on and so forth. So, and we've heard the stories and talked to people with experience about how practices used to be. And that's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, they better figure something out because you know, especially with the the stars going down like this, like it's like every year it's a league altering injury. Like we saw Halliburton take his team to the finals and they can't even capitalize on that success because he's out. Same thing with Tatum, so yeah, man, they got to get a handle on this.
Wilson.
I think it's one of those things like Ray said, people love trying to change things for the better or make things evolve or whatever, and they're taking away like chunks of preparation in the process of doing it. While something may seem like it's a little bit easier or whatever, if the outcome is changing this drastically, maybe you should leave it where it's a little harder. Because again, going from 0 to 115, there should be some middle ground there as a ramp up. Like ramp ups used to be something where it was an actual ramp up. Now it's just you go from nothing to game speed, and that's just not realistic. Also, just getting back to the preparation, we're seeing this on the NFL side of things too, where people are changing the way, taking away some things that were kind of the old way of doing things, and people are dropping like flies. Some things cannot be simulated and can't be skipped, missed, etc. And we're watching like the NFL's going through this thing where it's not the Achilles as much, but all these soft tissue injuries and all this other stuff. Yeah, because y'all got football players practicing football less. So when they go actually practice football, go figure their bodies aren't ready for football. Like, who would guess it? You have them doing other stuff, which is great for them. Like, yeah, it helps you be explosive, all that other stuff. Like, people are leaving out this strength part of everything across the board. And I think it's just, like Ray said, sometimes 1 + 1 is 2, 2 + 2 is 4, whatever simple ABC type thing you need. Y'all keep taking strength out of the equation, and people keep breaking down. Like you said, people who's out there with, I don't even know if you really want to call them shoes on their feet, because they ain't really help. The travel definitely wasn't good for you. You got folks out here with like the blue light therapy, blue light therapy. You got Dragon Ball Z chambers, all this stuff, and y'all broke it. It does not make sense. They was smoking and drinking with horrible things to use in terms of pads, shoes, etc. All that stuff was bad. Durable. What y'all changed? Like, let's just walk back through it real quick. What did y'all change? And then the sad part that happens, like to me, kind of across sports, which is weird, is soon as somebody has one of these career-altering injuries, all of a sudden the old stuff, you go right back to the old stuff to make sure it doesn't happen again. What if you just keep the old stuff in there as a preventative measure? But soon as somebody tears something, all of a sudden, people who didn't work on their legs, they're back to working on their legs. People who didn't take strength training seriously, all of a sudden incorporating under the guise of rehab. Why do you have to wait for something to tear and or break? Also, I think just across sports, at least in this country, they got to do a better job. When somebody's calf hurts, bro, sit them down. Like the calf is kind of like that's the warnings. That's the big blinking Krispy Kreme red light sign saying, chill out. And usually what happens, we get, oh yeah, for the last month their calf was hurting after their Achilles ripped. How many times have we heard that? Across sports, it's, oh yeah, they were struggling with their calf. So you waited until it tore? You knew said person was struggling for like 2 months? And again, it's not basketball. Like I'll bring up Dre Greenlaw real quick. That year in the Super Bowl where he tore his Achilles, jumping up and down on the sideline before he walked out to the field. Guess who was struggling with calf injuries for 2 months? Like it was a literally ticking time bomb in that man's leg for 2 months. Come on, man. Like, yeah, I got to be better with that. And then, like I said, the thing that just makes me the most mad is after they get hurt, all of a sudden, let's do the things that were done before, which makes no sense to me. But also take those things away and let's just use bands.
Octavian.
Oh, you
Oh,
guys
you guys
are
are.
I think it's very telling. One, it just, I guess nowadays they don't make Achilles like they used to in the 80s. I guess that's the thing. I don't know. Maybe we need an Achilles farm for them to start creating it and then putting it into everybody's legs. Um, I definitely think it goes back, like you guys said, they're trying to find alternative ways to hide the fact that they're not really doing what they should be doing. Like you guys have all pointed out. One thing that stood out to me is I remember listening to a podcast a couple months ago. I think it was Derek White's podcast, and Jason Tatum was on it. And one thing that made me think about it from this conversation is he literally said that I hate strength training. I hate it. It's one of the things I hate doing it. I hate going to the weight room. My trainer, because obviously during the podcast itself, it was Derek White, Jason Tatum, and his strength coach, his personal trainer, and he was always talking about how he hates going to there. So it's like it's got to be some type of correlation in there at some point. I'm sure he's doing more of it now, like Wilson said. I'm sure he's doing more strength training now to not have that type of setback, especially for somebody who, in his own words, hasn't never had a catastrophic injury like that. So I'm sure it's changed his perspective on a lot of things. But yeah, it's they're just not preparing, and like you said, it's across the board. And I won't say in all sports, but a heavily amounted of sports where people just aren't taking care of their body the way that they should be. When you get paid a bajillion dollars to use said body to do your job, that's different. I don't got to worry about strength training because I'm not running up and down no football field or no basketball court for a living and making $300 million. You guys are. You have to be in top tip shape. You can't have all the things that we can have. You can't do the things that we can. Now, granted, maybe if their bodies were built like they were back in the 80s and 90s, maybe they could, because obviously, like Wilson pointed out, they were able to do those things. But I'm sure they were able to do those things because they did still work out hard and strength train really, really hard as well. So, yeah, I mean, I never like to go against a doctor and what the doctor says. But there's got to also be accountability on both sides. Two things can be true at the same time. I don't claim to be, again, a doctor and know all the ins and outs of those things. So I'm sure there is some type of validity somewhere in there, but we got to look at the bigger picture and what's the biggest overarching theme when it comes down to these situations. Because like you said, we had 3 of them last year in the playoffs. We had 1 this year. And before the 3 last year, I can't tell you when there was that many in one at one time. So there's got to still be some push and pull on it either way.
Yeah, for me, I have a lot of perspectives from personal experience trying to build myself to get to the pros, training players, player development, obviously the NBA stuff, studying the history of the game. I'm a big fan of, Tim Grover, stuff he did with so many players, elevating them. I got friends, close friends that work in the field of strength and conditioning that are like head strength and conditioning coaches. We talk all the time. Um, One thing that a lot of people aren't aware of is not just strength and conditioning and the strength and conditioning. It's a thing called sports science now. And they're coming with like the innovative type things to train bodies and stuff like that. And sometimes, like you said, you go overthink things and outsmart yourself. Um, it's a lot. It's a lot, especially for what these guys go through playing 82 games. If you're an NBA player, it's a lot that has been tossed to the side, and it's a lot that in the new age NBA that they have to endure that I really honestly feel like a lot of them aren't prepared for. Like for instance, you talk about the 80s and stuff. What were they doing before the season? They were having a month-long training camp, not 1 week, and they would have 2 a days. Um, when we first started covering the Wizards about a decade ago, we caught the end of what I call the old school training camp. We saw the Wizards do 2 a days for a week straight. We done at VC a week straight. Yeah, first day everybody excited. By the next day, first practice, everybody looking like mummies. There's ice everywhere, all over players. They putting in extra work in between, and that's not. They practicing 2-3 hours. They're putting in extra work in between practices. Then they got another practice that night, and it's a lot of work. You can see them dragging. You know what I mean? Like it was really hard on the rookies. The rookies, I'm not gonna say their name, but it was a rookie that got checked by a veteran center because he was sitting down. But the rest of the team, everybody else, and it was an undrafted rookie. He was in for a training and trying to make the team. And everybody out working. So the vet was walking past, ice pack on his knees, ankles, hamstrings, everything. He walking past. He looking at. He do a double take. He like the undrafted rookie sitting there. He like, what are you doing? And he's like, no, I'm resting. Yeah, ice pack on. Yeah. He said, take a look around you. And he looked around. He said, you're the only one sitting. Dude, just go get a ball. Act like you're doing something. Just do something. And he's like, he got up, he looked lost, and then he just went to a court, grabbed the ball, just started shooting form shots, just look. But he don't realize the vet was trying to help him out, because that's just a bad look when you're an undrafted free agent trying to make a team. They can get you up out of there. But what I'm saying is the work. And at that time, Scott Brooks was the head coach of the Washington Wizards. If you know his history, he had to grind to make the league. And he had to grind in the days where, again, a month-long training camp, 2 a days, every day. So he knows no other way. So if you ain't on that type of time, you can go, dog. Especially if you're undrafted. Like, you ain't here for a favor and prove me wrong. And you're not trying to prove me wrong, you can go. We can cut this off. Like, we can end this right now. Why waste everybody's time? And obviously that kid didn't make it at all. Long story short. But what I'm saying is the preparation. That preparation from then, over a decade ago, is non-existent now. It's not like that no more. They do a lot of skill work and all that. That's cool, but you gotta work on your body. You gotta do recovery. You gotta do it every day. You gotta eat right. You gotta get the proper rest, or this will happen. And you gotta build your body up to be able to take it. It's like it's like if you played football before. The first few practices, when you put the pads on, your body gonna be messed up. You're gonna be sore as hell. But after a while, your body get callous and acclimated to it, and then you fine. You playing. It's the same thing with basketball. I don't know why people think basketball is not the same way, especially, with the type of pace they try to play. And they move fast on offense. They don't move that fast on defense. You know what I mean? And one thing is they overblow the pace thing. Y'all not running inline to inline like the old school players were, because they had to go in the post, and even the guards, they had to go down there and dig down. Y'all running 3-point line to 3-point line. Yeah, it's fast, but y'all not going as far. So again, you gotta look at the minor details. Again, sports science, it's the thing I love called functional movement, where you literally work on strengthening the functions and movements you use on the basketball court. You literally work on those positions to strengthen it, so that these Achilles won't happen. You won't have knee issues. You won't have hip issues, back issues, stuff like that, low ankle issues, foot issues. You literally work on strengthening those things. And yeah, we did it somewhat. You do. Lunge has been around forever, stuff like that, but it wasn't as detailed and advanced as it is now. It's literally a regimen. And I use it for my players. And hell, I started having the issues a while back where I was like, man, I can't even hoop no more. This don't hurt too much. And I started doing it, and now I'm able to get back on the court and move with the young fellas. So that's what it was. So I know if it can help me, it can help them, but are they dedicated to it? Are there a specific strength and conditioning coach with it? Like, it's a lot of strength and conditioning coaches that don't even like advanced functional movement and stuff like that, for whatever reason. And most of it, I'm learning being behind the curtain, so to speak. It's a lot of trying to be politically correct, man. It's a lot of I'm too smart for that. Like, we don't need that. I got it. It's a lot of that. When what y'all say, 1 + 1 is 2, 2 + 2. Like, why Why overdo this thing? Why overthink this thing? It's simple. And at the basis of all this, move iron, stretch. It's just a consistent thing. I saw a video the other day where Jared McCain was like, to have success in this NBA, what I've learned is just doing the boring things day after day, the things you don't want to do, just consistently doing them, and it eventually turns you to great. He said, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander said, I just do the same routine day after day. I've seen Shai's regimen. He lifting, he running hills, he doing all types of stretching techniques. That's why his body's able to contort and do all that. Like, you see it in the game. He ain't ever tore Achilles tendon. And he's getting hit the most because he's going to the free throw line, and he's averaging 30, shooting 55%. So, but he prepares his body. You got to prepare your body, man. And I don't understand how you can be in the NBA and don't fully really prepare your body like you should in all areas. They do it in some areas, like I call it, like a lot of basketball players have beach bodies. Yeah, it look aesthetically pleasing on the outside, but it's fluff. Because as soon as they get bumped, they get knocked around. As soon as they hit the floor, they hurt. So it's not really a strong body. You gotta get your body strong, man. You see what I'm saying? It's no way around it. Like, again, we've all seen The Last Dance. What did you consistently? I'm talking about the basketball part. What did you consistently see the Bulls doing a lot? Rodman, Pippen, Jordan, they was working out, dog. They was in the weight room. They lifting, doing all that stuff, dog. Like, it was consistent. That's why they were able to always play 82 games and win all those championships. And think about it. They playing 82 games, practicing every day, and they going the deepest in the playoffs out of everybody because they the ones winning the championships. So, again, people got to stop trying to skip steps and reinvent the wheel and just stick to what works. Because at the end of the day, it's about keeping these players healthy. Who gives a fuck how you get there? Just keep them healthy. And then you're a genius. But if they keep getting hurt, what's going to happen with you? You're going to be up out of there with it. You're going to be out of the job. So, nah, man. Look, one thing, look, we got our things about LeBron. We know you all the time. We got to think, one thing I always give him credit. I always give him credit. Once he learned the game being around Tim Grover, because Oakley was his OG, so he got to access the mic, and he learned how to train watching Grover and all them boys, he been consistent throughout his career. Been consistent with it. One thing you can never say about him, LeBron out of shape. You never say that. You know what I mean? So that's why his career has went as long as it has. Him building his body. And think about it. The preparation play back in the day for the punishment he was going to take, especially with all the hype and stuff, totally different now than this free-flowing type of NBA he is in. Because he came in with goons in the paint. You know what I'm saying? That the goon today is Draymond. It ain't the same. You know what I'm saying? So he the OG. So he ain't fearing none of these young boys. You know what I'm saying? Back then, he the young boy, and he dealing with official goons. It was a totally different game. So he had to prepare his body. It's a reason why one year I played against him at 5-star. Yeah, he about 6'4", 6'5", 195. Next damn thing I see on TV, he's 6'7", about 215. But when he about to go to the league and everybody knows he's going to the league, he's 6'8", 240. There's a reason for that. So you got to build your body up, man. You're not going to survive in the league. Even in this area, 82 games is a lot of games, dog. It's a lot of basketball. And like Ray said, you can't just show up to the game the next night like I'm good and then just expect to go hard. And you haven't trained and built your body up to go that hard. Your body was like, whoa, this is too much. Whoa. Something gonna tear, something gonna pop. And now you done. And then you got to go through surgery, rehab, therapy, and all that. And then you got to do the very thing you should have been doing at first to keep you off that training set. That's what don't make sense to me. Like, it's all you was, man. Like, it don't make sense to me, man. But some people will be hard-headed and try to skip steps, and there's consequences when you skip steps.
That's the part, like, it drives me crazy as soon as everybody gets to the other side of rehab. Oh, what was it like? And they go through the details, and I'm like, so it was the things that the OGs just did just cause, but we gotta wait till your career is hanging in the balance for you to consider it. Cool, great. Wonder if there was any way this could have been prevented in any shape, fashion, or form. Go ahead, Cardo.
And one last thing, also it's a thing called overtraining that can lead to Achilles tear. Some dudes overtrain, like Kobe. Tim Grover talked about it. Like he went to Jordan. A lot of people don't know this. I think kind of 06, 07, that period. He went to Jordan because he's like, man, my knees killing me, and people don't know he was thinking about retiring there because his knees were like. And he said, go to my guy, go talk to Grover, and he gave him Grover's number. And Grover like, you got to scale it back. You doing too much. Like you training like 8 hours a day. Like you older. You got to give your body a chance to rest. That can beat you down and lead to injuries as well. And we know there's a lot of players that are workaholics. Like I know Dame's a workaholic, for instance, and stuff like that. And I know he lives. He's been doing that since college. So that could have been the reason why it led to his Achilles thing, and also stress and stuff like that. But yeah, so Grover had to fight with him to scale it back. He's like, what we doing? What we gonna do? We gonna get that right. But let this be the only thing. Instead of 2 hours shooting in the gym, scale it back to 45 minutes. And just be more precise and strategic in what you're working on in that 45 minutes. So that way it's not putting too much strain on your body and you getting the necessary work done. And that's how Kobe was able to extend his career and, play 20 years and whatnot. So, it's all in that, man. But yeah, you got to prepare your bodies the right way. There's no getting around it. Or you just can't play basketball at the professional level. Simple as that.
Man, we appreciate y'all. We'll check in with y'all next week. Mystics folks will see y'all three more times this week. So we're looking forward to that as they continue to make their way. Again, I think that win streak's at 4. So, we'll see y'all tomorrow for pregame and outlook. As always, don't forget to get over to thefocustv.com, and y'all have a great week.